Good day to you, Bashar. Thank you, and I'm immensely grateful for being here.
As we are grateful and deeply appreciative of the interactions with all of you. What would you like to discuss?
First of all, we're immensely grateful for you being here, and you have no idea how much grateful we are. But
Yes, I do.
You are okay, especially this unusual time that we are in.
Yes, especially now.
Okay, I just have a few quick questions, and I won't take much time.
It's all right.
Regarding our ET neighbors, I know that we have to be at a vibrational state that we will be able to contact, or they will be able to contact us.
Yes, although that's not as necessary for some of them as it is for others.
Thank God. All right. So I was asking that it is true, it's our free will, but can we choose them to please contact us, or kind of forcing on us, or somehow kick?
It's not about forcing, it's about following the formula, raising your vibration to the appropriate level, and being the kind of person that they would then be natural in contacting. But again, you have to trust the timing.
Okay, but I don't believe that humanity is where they will be able to contact. I'm just saying that sometimes a car.
Here is something perhaps that is important for you to understand. We talk about the idea of disclosure, we talk about the idea of open contact, but remember, depending on the culture that someone belongs to, there are already ongoing contacts happening on a regular basis, and some of these contacts have been going on for generations. It's just that most of you don't know about them because they're usually taking place with people that are more connected to some of the ancient ways, connected to nature, so on and so forth, things that are more representative of the kinds of people and the kinds of relationships that some of the ETs find more compatible. So when we talk about the idea that open contact is about to happen in the future, we're actually only referring to certain cultures on your planet that haven't yet allowed themselves to open up enough or connect to nature enough or be themselves enough for that contact to occur in their culture. But there are cultures on your planet that have been having contact for thousands of years.
So these prophets or seers, and let's say, for example, Jesus.
Yes.
Were they a human, or were they also connected to?
Well, they were human, but they were hybridized like all of you, but they understood how to be fully more what they really were in terms of expressing all the abilities that each of you have, but are lying dormant within you because you're not allowing yourself to realize your full potential.
Okay. Will you please help me with this idea that there is no outside reality, and the outside reality is a reflection of my own belief. Yet I see my hand, and I see Bashar, and I see a lot of people are listening.
Yeah.
How do I add up that there is no outside reality?
You are misinterpreting the idea when we say there is no outside. We mean there's no outside to existence. But you can create a reflection within existence of something that appears to be outside of yourself. In the same way that when you look in a mirror, your reflection appears to be over there. But it's not really. It's all the light coming back to your eyes. There's really nothing over there. So the idea is that the outside is simply an illusion that you create for your own purposes, for your own convenience to experience certain things. So don't misunderstand what we mean when we say there's no outside. There is outside as an experience. There's just no outside to existence.
So I'm talking to Bashar, that does exist.
But you're talking to your version of me. You're creating your version of me in your consciousness, knowing that I exist on a fundamental level. You are willing to match my vibration enough to create your version in order to communicate with me. Just as I am creating my version of you to communicate with you. Your version of me may not exactly be my version of me, and your version of you may not exactly be my version of you, but it's close enough vibrationally that we can actually exchange the idea of information.
All right, right, okay. And on that issue, when do we say this is a belief and when it is actually a fact?
There are only 5 facts. Now, we understand you can say it's a fact that I'm experiencing this, but that doesn't mean the experience isn't created from a belief. Do you understand?
Let me give an example.
Sure.
Okay, there are 40 million people live in California,
Yes.
30 million cars, and
Yes.
they burn like 20 million gallons of gas every
Yes.
day.
Yes.
So I say it's factually, I, as a person in California responsible for global warming
Yes.
and all these fires that we have. So
It is a fact.
or this is a belief.
It is a fact that you have created that experience with your beliefs. That's the way you use the term fact. In other words, these things can change. And if they can change, they're not fundamental facts. They're temporary facts that you've created with your belief systems. So when we say fact, we mean things that cannot change, ever, for any reason whatsoever. We're talking about the fundamental structure of existence itself. But the facts that you're experiencing in your reality are simply the product of your belief systems, and they can be changed. Therefore, at most, we would call them temporary facts, rather than something so factual it can never be changed.
Okay, in this version of reality I'm in, would the global warming get rid of the humanity?
If it continues in that way, yes, it can be the destruction of the environment on your planet, as has happened on other planets. So the idea is to shift yourself by following your passion in the formula that we give you. Shift yourself to different versions of Earth that are already more reflective of something other than those experiences that you don't prefer. At the same time, the way you do that is by acting physically in the best interests of demonstrating to people how to do things, how to act, how to make choices that are more representative of a different kind of world. So that's what makes it easier for you to shift there, and also give others an opportunity to do so as well, should they choose to do so, by seeing an example in you of the kind of behaviors that would be more representative of the kind of world you prefer.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Does that help?
Definitely. Can I ask one or two more questions? Do I have
Well,
to?
again, that was a question.
Yes. What do we take from this life to afterlife?
You take your experience. You take what it is you wish to apply to your own path, your own growth, and go on to the next adventure, whatever that you choose that to be.
And when we say thank Bashar or thank God, who we are thanking?
Yourselves in a different reflection.
So if I say thank God, that means I'm thanking myself?
Well, you're thanking the idea of the whole concept of existence itself. You are expressing gratitude at being a part of it. So I'm not saying it's completely just yourself as an individual, but you are a part and an expression of all that is. So in a sense, you are being grateful and in appreciation of yourself, but simultaneously also as the whole of everything that is beyond you as an individual.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hello, Bashar. My name is Dante. I am from Pennsylvania, but I live in Guatemala. My question is about last year's transmission, The Shifting Window of Contact, in which you mentioned it is very important to vote. You said that our political situation must change in order for contact to be accessible. You said that it had to relate to leaders who seek absolute power. I believe some people in your community that I see online are misinterpreting that, so I would love if you can share more clarity. Another thing you mentioned is that it is important to mail our votes in, except that was encouraged due to coronavirus, and now we're seeing that the postal service is being defunded, and some of the systems that would sort mail are also being removed. I'm wondering if you can speak to what is the best way for us to make sure our vote is recorded and heard in our shifting circumstances. Any clarity is so super greatly appreciated. Thank you. I love you. Goodbye, Bashar.
Again, whatever way is the path of least resistance for you. If it has to be the idea of male, and it seems like that's the obvious choice for you in your situation, then by all means understand that that is the path of least resistance for you. If it's actually showing up physically to cast your vote, then that's the path of least resistance for you if synchronicity makes that obvious to you. But the whole point of encouraging people on your planet and in your country to vote is simply, more importantly, not the political idea so much as it is the idea of taking a physical action that represents your preference of the reality that you prefer to experience. So when we talk about encouraging you to vote, it has less to do with politics and more to do with the actions that would be representative that you would automatically be taking if you already existed on the version of Earth you say you prefer to exist on. Because remember, physical action is the language of physical reality, not words or anything of the like. It's simply taking the action. So even if you take the action and in one reality your so-called vote doesn't appear to be counted, that's not necessarily the consequence that matters. The consequence is having taken the action to the best of your ability. What happens after that will simply be representative of the reality you prefer in your reality and the reality others prefer in their reality, but their reality won't affect the effect you have created by taking the action from your reality. Because just because you can see things going on in someone else's reality that you don't prefer doesn't mean you're actually in that reality. So we're simply encouraging you to take the actions that would be more representative of the reality that you choose to be in, no matter what you see them choosing to do.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I have been studying the tarot system for about 28 years. And
oh, how exciting.
Oh, it is. It's my passion.
All right.
A while ago, I discovered a deck that allowed me to easily communicate with the deceased.
Yes.
That sparked a passion and an idea. Would it be possible for me to design a set of cards to communicate with extraterrestrials using symbols, numbers, and different images?
Yes, and in fact, such a deck already exists because the channel co-created such a deck a long time ago with another individual. It may or may not be still available to you on your planet. As you say, it might be quote-unquote out of stock or out of print. But that deck that was designed as an extraterrestrial tarot deck is called Contact Cards.
Okay, I'm going to look for that.
All right. Now, if that doesn't fully work or you have no ability to access it, yes, of course, it's possible for you to design your own. Of course it is.
Okay, thank you for that. Will crystal skulls be important tools after passing through the eye of the needle?
Yes.
Okay.
They will be important permission slips as they always have been, but because people on your planet are having more of a growing awareness of them, they can become more predominant in your society as permission slips that can aid and assist you in connecting to different things, not only about your own history, but also about what you typically call your future.
Okay. And can I utilize crystal skulls at this time, at this present time, to communicate or work with races, extraterrestrial races who also utilize crystal skulls?
Yes, although not necessarily many of them will utilize crystal skulls as such, though they may have other versions of those permission slips that aren't necessarily fashioned after skulls.
Okay.
So, yes, you can make similar connections, but again, it's up to you to follow your excitement, because if it excites you, then there's a reason that it does.
Okay. And the quartz skulls, because they have that recording ability, are there also other skulls that can be of value, like charoite or some of the other minerals?
Again, whatever you're attracted to is what will work for you for a variety of reasons, but you have to determine for yourself what you are attracted to. If you're attracted, the attraction itself tells you that at least at this moment you're attracted to it. It is something that can work in alignment with your belief system. Otherwise, you wouldn't be attracted to it.
Okay. I have an unusual question. Were our thoughts that we think generated outside of this reality, and are we limited to these thoughts that we have access to?
The thoughts that you think are generated from within your physical mind, because thoughts are a secondary level expression of the consciousness as it filters itself through the belief systems that make up your physical mind. So the idea is that there is first belief system, then the beliefs reinforce themselves with emotions, thoughts, behaviors, and then reflections of your experience in the idea of physical reality. So thoughts are generated from within physical reality to reinforce beliefs to allow you to continue to experience the idea of physical reality, because physical reality isn't real until you believe that it is.
Okay, so when we're outside of physical reality, are thoughts still there then? Are thoughts
not in the same way, no. It's more about recognition and knowingness rather than the idea of thoughts as you experience them in physical reality. You might, in a non-physical state, now this is going to sound a little paradoxical, you might in a non-physical state still think that you're thinking, but you're not really thinking in the same way you do as a physical being. It just might be that you're so used to it that you still think you're thinking, but in fact what you're actually doing is simply more directly perceiving or knowing. Now you can observe what you perceive or know, and that might feel like thinking, but it's not exactly the same process.
Okay. Does the concept of mathematics and numerology exist outside of time-space?
Yes, to some degree, although generally speaking, it is a underlying template representation of what you consider to be different levels of reality. So it will be interpreted or experienced very differently on the different levels of reality. For example, we don't experience math in the same way that you do. We experience reality more geometrically than mathematically, even though there are what most people would consider to be mathematics involved in geometry. We experience it in a more holistic way, a more representational, symbolic way than the idea of the mathematical formulas expressed by your mathematicians and scientists.
Oh, thank you for that understanding. I had at one time a labyrinth on my property, which I think is a geometric shape. And
Yes.
I was listening to your spiral lecture on the Shadok, and I was wondering
Shadok.
Shadok, thank you for correcting me. And I was wondering if I could build some geometric structure on my own property that would be useful for what, is there is the triangle?
How about this suggestion?
Okay.
When you get excited about something, stop wondering whether or not it's something that might assist you and just take it as far as you can and see what happens.
Okay.
Because every question you have asked just about is, I wonder if. How about just answering it with, why not?
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much, Bashar.
We thank you. Good day.
Good day.
Hello, Bashar. Hello, viewers. My name is Ian, currently coming to you from my hometown of Port Macquarie, New South Wales, Australia. A few months ago, I lived in the northeast of China, in a city called Changchun in the province of Jilin. And one evening, out for my daily walk, between the hours of 6 and 8 p.m., I was walking by the river, minding my own business, watching people do Tai Chi and dancing, and behind me I heard one of the crowds give out a collective "Phoor." I spun around and saw what at the time I thought was a very impressive drone. On reflection, I realized it could have only possibly been one of your people's spacecraft. It looked exactly as depicted in the documentary First Contact and acted exactly as depicted in the documentary First Contact. It triangle shaped lights on each corner, red lights in this case. It rotated and then suddenly it flew away as fast can be. And what gave it away is that it made no sound whatsoever. You could say it was so quiet you could hear the silence. My question is, what did you pick up in terms of energy from the crowd? More positive or more negative? What I sensed from the crowd was one of curious awe. So that is my question. Thank you very much. That is all. Good day.
Well, first you have to understand that wasn't my ship personally. It can be a ship from my civilization or from the Yael civilization, which uses triangular craft. They were observing the energy of the Tai Chi formation to gauge and observe the idea of how it raised the frequencies and vibrations of everyone in the group.
Hey, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
So nice to speak to you.
And you as well.
So I'd like to do a little bit of sharing, if that's okay.
Yes, yes.
So a few weeks ago, I got one of my wisdom teeth extracted, and then I got very ill, got taken to the hospital, and then got a surprise diagnosis of having AML leukemia, which is a very dangerous, very rapidly evolving type of blood cancer.
Yes.
And I decided not to go the typical route, which would be chemo. Instead, I decided to go home and do a detox.
All right.
And so I'm 2 weeks in, and so far it's going extremely well. And I just wanted to talk to you about that, if you had anything to add to that.
You understand that we cannot discuss health issues?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So all we can say is that you had the wisdom to create a synchronicity that would reveal to you something that you needed to pay attention to.
Right. Right. And yeah, and so I'm not necessarily asking for advice at all. I just thought if there's anything else there, because I feel like this is a pretty big life event for me.
It is. And it depends on what you do with it. It depends on what you learn about yourself through this process and this experience, which is why most people create these kinds of experiences for themselves. You can ask yourself the question, what is it focusing me on that otherwise I may not have focused on? That's usually what the important issue is in why this has been created by you as a process or an experience.
Yeah.
First and foremost, again, as I said, the synchronicity of the wisdom tooth leading you to this particular awareness. So you can start your synchronistic symbols there, but again, explore the idea. And you will know more about this as you go through the process of what it is getting you to focus on that you might otherwise not have focused on had you not created this. Not that you necessarily need it, but obviously at one point you believed you did, because this is what you felt you needed to bring your attention to something that will be very important for you to pay attention to within your life, about the kind of choices you're making and the kind of changes that you prefer to make in your life. And you have to know this will help you make them more easily if you learn the lessons and pay attention to what it is you are being forced to focus on by having this experience in your life.
Right. And so
that is what we will say.
Yeah, and so I find it so interesting because I actually find this whole situation pretty exciting.
All right. That is a good state of being to stay in so that you can experience the information and the lessons you need to learn in a positive way.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's really come out for me is that one thing that I'm most excited about is that I feel like through this journey, I can also show people that there's alternatives.
Yes.
And not in any way to diss medicine at all. I mean, I think medicine...
No. Again, it's whatever the path of least resistance is for those who have certain belief systems. That's what works.
Right. And so I find this to be a much more joyful, much more effortless path in a way that doesn't contain suffering in the way that chemo does.
All right. Again, if things change for you, go with the flow. Go with the path of least resistance, as synchronicity not only brings you objects, situations, circumstances, opportunities, and symbols to move and guide you forward, but sometimes also, as synchronicity will, prevent you from moving down certain paths, again, as a guiding mechanism that's not necessarily your path of least resistance at this moment.
Right. That makes sense. So we'll just see how it goes, because right now I'm on day 11, I think.
Oh, all right.
So, which is also synchronistic, I guess.
All right. Well, thank you for your willingness to experience your power strongly enough to go through this process and learn what it is you need to learn for your expansion and your growth.
Yeah, and it's also interesting because I felt like when I was in the hospital and the doctors would talk to me, and there was very much a sense of urgency that I needed to start chemo right away, and it was dangerous, and like every day I waited, it was going to be more dangerous.
Yes.
And I never felt scared.
All right.
And I think many people in my situation would be scared of dying or other
Many
people.
people might, yes.
And so I felt that the whole time I was able to remain in this place of calmness and realize that that is like a valid path to choose, of course, but like it was never my path, and I never felt like I needed to go down that path.
All right. Again, just pay attention to your synchronicities to guide you as to exactly how the path needs to flow.
Right.
As long as you are not ruling anything out, you will be open to receiving from synchronicity the appropriate path for you at any given moment.
Right. And so do you have any comments? Because I hadn't thought about that. It was my wisdom tooth extraction that kind of brought, not that it caused it, but it like brought this whole situation to the surface.
Yes, that's what I already addressed. You were wise enough, wisdom enough to use that as a symbol to move you into the situation and circumstance you needed in order to receive this information.
Right. Right. Okay.
What else does it need to represent?
Mm-hmm.
Is that not a sufficient symbol?
No, it's great. It's great.
All right. Then there's nothing else that needs to be said about it. You don't have to overthink it or overcomplicate it.
Right. Okay. May I ask you some other questions unrelated?
Well, that was a question. So what other questions do you have?
So I was always wondering, with your civilization, your planet is Essassani, right?
Yes.
And so do you ever consider living on more than one planet, or how come you only stay on the one when you have the technology to?
I never said we only stay on the one.
Okay.
That's an assumption on your part.
Okay, that's valid. Yeah. So then that is your home world, but then you also have colonized other worlds.
Yes.
Okay. And so is Essassani the most populous world, or are other ones more populous?
It depends upon the environment. It depends upon the purpose of settling on a particular planet as to what drives the needs of the population there. Our homeworld usually never exceeds somewhere in the neighborhood of about 300 million.
Yeah.
It is an average that in general is maintained on the colony worlds, but there can be more or less, again, depending upon the nature of the planet and the purpose for why we might be there.
Right. And when you meet other civilizations,
yes,
do most of them communicate with you telepathically, or do you also?
A lot of them do, but some of them do not.
Okay. And so then how do you communicate with those other races? Is it like via technology or?
Well, first of all, remember that we usually make contact with planets in the same way we're making contact with yours.
Mm-hmm.
We have a connection to an individual through whom we may channel information, which then automatically comes out in their language, of course, because we're not speaking English right now.
Right.
So the idea is that we communicate that way, but doesn't mean we don't have the capacity to learn someone's language.
Right. Right. And so in your alliance of worlds,
yes,
is everybody there telepathic, or it's the same thing where some races are and some races are not, and they communicate via other means?
Some races are and some races are not.
Okay. And so could you give a couple examples of the races that are not telepathic, how they communicate? Is it verbal? Is it via like?
Some will communicate verbally in their own language as you would understand it. Some communicate by vibration. Some communicate by color shifts and changes. There are even those that communicate through what you might call electromagnetic waves.
Yeah. Yeah. Super interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. And so do you ever colonize planets together with other races, or is it?
We have done so sometimes for various purposes, but it's not necessarily that common.
Yeah. And so if distance isn't really a thing at all, then the planets that you colonize, they can be anywhere in the universe, right? It doesn't matter like which galaxy they're in, because space and time.
Fundamentally, no, it does not matter. But it will be based on certain other parameters that we don't necessarily go into right now. Right. But there may be certain reasons for why we may maintain a particular connection to something that isn't necessarily that far away, as you would say, in your sense of distance.
Yeah.
It just depends.
Yeah.
But no, Distance in that sense is not really an issue.
Yeah. Yeah, super interesting. Does your Alliance of Worlds have any kind of rules as to colonizing planets and like how many you can colonize or where they are, or is
Well, guidance perhaps that best serves. But the idea is, of course, there is always the non-interference directive of making sure that we don't interfere with civilizations that already exist in a way that would be detrimental to them. We only colonize worlds, as you use that term, that don't necessarily have habitation on them. So the idea is there are guidelines and so on and so forth, but not anything you would really call a hard and fast rule in the way that humans tend to think of those things.
right?
Because again, remember, we operate on pure synchronism.
Yeah.
So the idea is that we synchronistically wind up exactly where we need to be, doing exactly what we need to do that serves the best of all concerned.
Right. And so for your race, because you're transitioning to quasi-physical, is there any need?
No, we are quasi-physical.
All
We're
right.
transitioning to non-physical.
Right. Sorry. Apologies.
No apology necessary.
Do you have any need at all to exercise in any way or like move your body in any certain way or like mentally?
Well, we do move our bodies, but we don't really have a need to exercise in the way that you think of it. No.
Right.
Remember, we also no longer eat and no longer sleep.
Right. Are there any kind of mental trainings that you do or like any type of training at all?
Well, I went through a training period to learn to become a first contact specialist. So yes,
Okay.
It depends on what you're doing.
Right. Right. That makes sense.
I know, that's why I said it.
Yeah. No, I think that was it, Bashar. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
All right, we thank you for the interaction. Good day.
Good day. Thank you.
Hello and good day, Bashar. My name is Emmanuel Myers from Chicago, Illinois. And my question is, are there any practices or images or story structures that would bring me closer to the Ishikani frequency? I have much desire to dive further into the frequency that is the Ishikani people and all of the gifts that they have to impart on me. Good day. Love and light, health and wealth in all days and all ways. Peace.
The only thing you have to do, as we have always said, is just follow the steps of the 4-point formula of acting on your passion to the best you can, with no insistence or assumption of the outcome, and stay in a positive state no matter what manifests so you can get a benefit from it. But you must follow these steps as precisely as possible and also include the understanding of how to investigate your negative beliefs and let them go. And also allow yourself the opportunity to realize that everything works automatically when you follow the formula. And when you relax into the flow of your true self, your flow will take you exactly where you need to go. When you act on your passion, you raise your frequency. When you raise your vibrational frequency of energy, you become a more sensitive receiver and antenna for higher frequency information and energy from other higher level sources. So the way to match the vibration more readily of our civilization as Eshakani is to simply follow the formula as precisely as you can, let go of the beliefs that don't serve you, and recognize the automatic tools that come into play, like synchronicity being the organizing principle of your life, and let them operate in the way they naturally operate without having to worry about whether or not you're off the path. Just let them do what they need to do and know that you will attract everything you need to live a fulfilled life. And by raising your frequency in that way, you will match whatever vibrational resonance you need to that will be of best service to you and to the rest of your planet as well as to the cosmos.
Hi,
And to you, good day.
how are you?
Perfect, and you?
I'm good, thank you.
All right, please proceed.
I'm Gabriela from Canada, and my first question is about the formula.
Yes.
So in the formula, you say to act on the excitement to the best of your ability until you can take it no farther.
Yes.
How does the formula incorporate rational thinking or logic?
Well, you can be rational and logical about what it is you're experiencing. You can understand it from that point of view. But it's not really about taking that too far. It's not about overthinking or overcomplicating the idea. It's more about allowing things to flow in a natural way, knowing that that's how things work. Whatever it is that then does manifest, you can think about in any way, shape, or form you would like to. as long as the thinking process doesn't interfere with the natural flow of what synchronistically needs to come to you to serve you.
Because I was thinking that maybe rational thinking sometimes like can be fear-based beliefs.
Of course it can.
Like that.
Of course it can. But that's where you have to be honest within your own self-investigation to be able to tell the difference between excitement and anxiety.
And also there's such things such as religious norms or social norms.
Yeah.
So when they interfere with your excitement,
they don't interfere with your excitement. Your belief systems may allow them to interfere, but they themselves don't interfere if you don't necessarily believe that they have anything to do with your true self and your true path. You're the one that allows them to interfere if you have that experience. They can't interfere on their own.
So is it like you can change the beliefs or like...
Yes, of course. That's the whole idea, is you change your beliefs to be more in alignment with who you prefer to be, as long as you know you are remaining within holistic integrity and not changing your beliefs to something that is out of alignment with who you are, then you are walking the path of least resistance that is true for you. So of course you can change your beliefs, because your beliefs are what create your reality experience. Nothing else does.
Okay, because I was thinking that maybe these are like those norms, maybe they're also sometimes fear-based. If they
Yes, they are. So if you recognize the ones that are fear-based and don't prefer to buy into the ones that are fear-based, you have the choice not to do so.
Mm-hmm. And the same goes like for the attraction. If you're attracted to do something or to someone, and then you have a fear, a belief that blocks you and like says, oh, you're not supposed to, that means that you're encountered on a fear-based belief that you should change or investigate. Is that correct?
Well, again, it's about understanding the reason why you would choose to do anything. You have to be in touch with the belief behind why you choose to do things, so that you can recognize if you're doing things or choosing to do things that are based on either positive or negative beliefs. Again, this is all about knowing yourself more clearly, becoming more transparent to yourself, so you understand the reason why you might choose to do something more clearly. And then you'll be able to tell whether that reason is positive or negative.
Thank you.
Yes.
So my next question is, why do I often feel like I'm wasting my time? Is it a matter of me appreciating more of where I am, or me making choices that leave me compressed or not following my excitement, or is it something?
Well, it could be both and either. You have to, again, be honest within your own self-examination as to what it might be in any given circumstance or situation. The idea, again, of wasting your time, so to speak, yes, can be representative of not appreciating what's happening in the moment because you think that somehow, for some reason, what's happening can't serve you, when of course it always can, if you stay in the proper state to use it and derive a benefit from it. But always make sure, when you say that something does or doesn't excite you, always check with yourself and make sure that you're not the one with your beliefs dampening the excitement that could be there. Make sure you're not the one with your beliefs that's making anxiety look like excitement instead of realizing it's anxiety. Always check with yourself to make sure you're not the one that is coloring what's going on. But if you finally recognize that certain ideas really are truly representative of your passion and your excitement, then act on them to the best of your ability with no insistence on the outcome, and stay in a positive state no matter what happens. Because even if something manifests that you neutrally don't prefer, you have to know it's got to be there for a reason that can serve you. And if you stay in a positive state, you will derive the benefit from whatever it is that happens. And by doing it that way, then whatever manifested will go away more quickly if it doesn't belong in your life, because you've been willing to accept that there must have been a reason for it to have appeared in the first place.
I also have a question about discomfort.
Yes.
Is discomfort often present when changing beliefs?
It can be, although it doesn't have to be. Again, there may simply be resistance to changing the belief, and the resistance can cause the sensation of discomfort because you're not used to what you're changing to. But you can allow yourself to get used to the idea of change. And when you get more used to the idea that change is okay, you won't be uncomfortable when you change.
Mhm. And so because I was thinking that maybe when you feel discomfort feel uncomfortable is a flag to not go somewhere.
It can be, but again, this goes back to what we said at first. You have to know yourself well enough and investigate yourself honestly enough to know the difference between why you're choosing or not choosing what it is that the choice is about, so that you know whether or not you're making a choice from anxiety or from excitement. You have to be able to learn to tell the difference.
And it's just by honest.
You will know the difference. I mean, simply put, remove all of the other conditions and things that are attached to this. Do you not fundamentally have the capacity to know the difference between excitement and anxiety within yourself?
I do.
All right. Then keep it at that level. And if something comes up that you're uncertain about, ask yourself the question, am I choosing to do or not do this because I'm excited about another way, or this is not my path? You ask yourself these questions, you will have more honest self-examination, and you will know whether you are or are not choosing something from excitement or anxiety. You'll learn that process. You'll feel it out, and you'll get used to being able to tell the difference more clearly. But you have to take that moment to ask yourself these questions. You don't have to rush forward. You don't have to make an immediate decision necessarily all the time. So take the time to find out why you are or are not making a choice, why you are or are not moving forward on something or changing your mind about something. You have the ability to always ask yourself the question, why am I doing what I'm doing?
Thank you. And like, I also have another question.
Yes.
How everything is a reflection of you. For example, a concrete floor or a piece of paper.
Yes. Well, again, you don't have to necessarily always put 100% reflection into everything. Some things are not necessarily a one-to-one reflection. Some things might simply be background reflections to allow you to do what you need to do, but it's not like you have to completely pay attention to those things. It might just be the chessboard that you're playing on, and it's more important for you to focus on the game that is being played rather than the fact that you're playing on a chessboard.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
All right.
So my last question is about heart. So
Yes.
I've read a book that heart has memory. So
It does.
when we have these experiences, are they like stored in the heart instead of the brain?
It's not that they're stored in the heart or the brain. It's that there is a configuration that happens within the brain and the heart that allows them, when they need to tap into information that you simply translate as a memory. But it's being created in the present.
Mm-hmm. Everything is created in the present.
There is no other time in which to create something.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yes, thank you very much. I think that's all.
All right. We thank you for the co-creation of the interaction. Our unconditional love to you.
To you too. Bye.